Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very first co-op podcast of 2019. I am your host, Richard Billy Jr., trying to stay warm here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Gary?
Hey, what's up, Rich? Good to see you looking all fresh for the new year. You got a new headset there, white headset and everything. You got a new view and everything. Like you're looking clean, man, for the new year. So that's what I like to see. So you're saying it's cold in Georgia?
Well, I mean, today, the sun was out today, so it wasn't that cold. But I mean, this is the cooler weather, and of course, I just came from Boston, where it was ridiculously cold. Was sick the last couple of days, so still a bit of a cough, but I'm doing a lot better, and definitely glad to record the show today.
That's good, man. That's what's up. Yeah, I'm doing good. I enjoyed the little break we had, but now it's back to business. So
Oh
good to be
yeah,
back.
absolutely. And we are joined by Mr. Edward Velasquez. How's it going, Eddie?
What's up? I got some blender going on in the back. I don't know if y'all can hear that. It's going down in the kitchen. You already know.
This dude making a smoothie, Xbox colored smoothie, all green.
Gotta keep it all green. 2019. This is our year.
All
Oh
right,
yeah,
we'll see about that.
absolutely, absolutely.
Hey,
Yes,
but
which
Rich, that's the whole weather thing. That's another reason you need to come to Texas, man. It feels like spring outside. I'm wearing shorts.
you know what? I happen to agree with you there. I definitely will at least try and visit Texas. I know my brother is planning to visit it next month, so yeah, probably gonna have to make a trip out there just to see how everything is in Houston because I've been to Dallas before, but we'll see what happens.
You're not coming to PAX South or whatever.
Unfortunately, no, because that next week, and I unfortunately was not able to secure a plane ticket or hotel in a reasonable amount of time, and it's very expensive to try and get there right now. So probably won't be at PAX next week. Um, we'll see what happens.
I don't think you're missing out.
Nah, we'll wait for the bigger stuff. So we'll see what happens. All right, so to kick off the new year, I want to let everybody know that the show obviously is going to be going through a couple of changes. We do have others that are still going to be on the show. They'll be coming back periodically. I mean, today everybody is kind of doing a couple other different things. I do know Mr. Lugo is working on a couple of different reviews. So, I mean, he will be definitely be back next week because there's some stuff that he has to say on some of the stuff that he's reviewing. I'm sure of that. But as for what's going to be happening with the show, from now on, we are going to talk about only a few news topics, and then we're just going to straight up have more of our discussions because I noticed that there are a lot of shows out there that are just covering news that we all see when it happens in the gaming industry, and that's cool and everything. But we want to try to be a little different and have a little bit more interesting conversations back and forth. So we're going to start that with this episode. So please feel free to leave your feedback and let us know. And if you are watching live, I would encourage you to join in the conversation. We'll definitely shout you out. So before we get into the two big news stories we're going to get into for this week, I want to ask you all what you have been playing and what you did during the holiday season and New Year's. So I'm going to go to you first, Gary. You let us know what you have been playing
All
and
right,
what you did during the holidays.
all right, yeah. So since we had a bit of a break, I kind of I wanted to mix it up a bit, play some more stuff besides just Overwatch. So I've been continuing to play Spider-Man, and I think I'm around the 60% mark now in terms of like the story and everything. The game is fun. It's definitely fun to play. I wouldn't put it as like a game of the year nominee or anything, but it's definitely fun, and it's a good callback to the old Spider-Man games like Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 2. It's a very good callback to that game, which was definitely one of the best Spider-Man games ever. And this one definitely, kind of takes that crown. I like all the side stuff you can do, collecting backpacks and all the side missions and, all the other things that pop up, Black Cat and things like that. It reminds me of in the Arkham games where you have those random Riddler collectibles and stuff like that on the side. So I mean that's cool, because you get to see more characters and influence the game and everything. So that's cool. I will say that story wise, it hasn't gripped me that much. Like the story seems very generic so far, and I feel like it's very slow moving. Like there hasn't been any major like memorable plot moment yet, in my opinion. So I think the story isn't, as good as I thought it was going to be. But it's cool to see different villains here and there pop up, and different references to characters and things like that. I will say that I mean, the first couple of times they do the MJ thing where you control MJ. That's cool, but I think they begin to overuse it. Where sometimes it's like I don't feel like playing MJ right now. Like what the hell, So yeah, that's something that stood out. But besides that, it's a fun game. Hoping to beat it pretty soon so I can move on and play other stuff. But so far, so it's good. Just not great. Like it could have been a lot better in my opinion, but it's okay. So I've also been playing Overwatch, of course. And I also one of the games that I got for my birthday, which is on Christmas Day, is Divinity Original Sin 2, which is, like a D&D isometric style RPG. So I've been playing that. It seems very complex, like it's a very kind of complicated RPG where it's really strong role playing. You have to you have to choose very carefully like the dialogue options that you want to pick for your character and things like that. If you want to progress a certain way through the story. And it seems like it's the type of game where you could easily lose one of your party members by deciding the wrong thing. So it's like you have to really think about what you're gonna say in certain situations, and it's a very complex RPG. So I'm kind of just falling nose deep into that experience. It's very captivating. I love the writing in it. It's done really well, in my opinion. And I think it's a pretty underrated game as well. I believe I'm not sure if it's on consoles. I believe it is, but yeah, it is actually because I remember Ruthless was playing it. But yeah, I think it's a very underrated game that doesn't get talked about a lot. But if you're really into D&D style RPGs and role playing, then this game is pretty incredible. So I would recommend that to everyone. I'm still pretty early into it, but I definitely really enjoy it so far. I also played a bit of Watch Dogs 2, which is another game I got for my birthday. I didn't get too far in that yet, and I kind of want to beat Spider-Man before I get too deep into that. But so far, I can see that it's a big improvement on the first game. In terms of graphics and presentation and everything. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing over the past couple weeks. And as for what I did, I didn't really do much. Like I'm at that age where it's like Christmas and New Year's, like okay, whatever. It's another year to me, Like I don't really, I didn't really do much besides hang out with the family and stuff. Like it's the only time of year where you see certain people or you get to really hang out with your family, for a long period of time. So I was pretty much just doing that. And I didn't really, do much in terms of like going out and getting lit or anything like that. So I was pretty boring this year.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So how about you go next, Ed?
What I've been playing, I guess I had some time to touch up on some games during the holiday. Let's see. I think Red Dead was like the last thing that I said I beat, and I really haven't touched it. I got to the epilogue, and like I think I mentioned it before, I kind of just stopped. Like I haven't done anything with the epilogue yet because I just felt like the game's over. Um, I did play a little bit of Red Dead Online, but um, I'm not too sold on it. Like it's not that great. Like even if I'm playing with a friend, like it's just we're not having as much fun
Yeah,
as other games.
I do want to say one thing about that. Like, I expected Red Dead Online to be like a huge step up from what GTA Online was. And to me,
Uh-oh.
Red Dead Online doesn't look as good as GTA Online. Like, you might as well just play GTA Online, like, in my
Whoa,
opinion.
whoa, whoa. Ouch.
I would definitely think that GTA Online is a better like online service, not only because it's been out for longer, of course, but like even the setting, like it's easier to just grab your car and do that and have that type of gameplay multiplayer fun as opposed to like, oh, get on your horse and let's ride like 5 minutes into town. Like that's kind of, you know, it's it's something that you don't like doing single player, and it's not that much funner with somebody.
Yeah, like, I do want to say, like, even though it probably would have been, like, it would have been copying, but I think they should have just played it safe and done the whole thing as a battle royale. To be honest, like that would have been more fun, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I,
I
oh no, continue.
I was just gonna say, I know that they added a battle royale mode. It's not 100 people though. I believe it's 32. I haven't tried it out myself. Like I literally played it yesterday,
Yeah.
but I was just kind of doing the co-op missions that you do. Those are fun. I'll give them that. I don't know how much there is of that because it's telling me that I'm like 70% done with them, but I'm sure they'll add stuff, and it's still a beta, I guess, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's along the lines of what I was going to say. I thought that they were still adding stuff to Red Dead Online, so it's probably going to be totally different a year from now in terms of what it offers and what it has on there, and it might actually get better than GTA Online, but I guess we have to wait and see. But GTA Online, I don't think that started out hot either because the heist wasn't even in there until much later. So I would give them a little bit of time, at least until maybe November or December, to see where it's at. By then, by a full year later, I would think it's definitely going to be better than what it is than what it offers right now.
I believe so too, but I don't know if I would, go back
Oh
after a
yeah,
year. People
that's
don't
true
you
too.
people don't typically do that, but we'll see. It's Rockstar, so I feel like they could be given the benefit of a doubt that Red Dead Online will eventually get to a better place.
Yeah, one thing I know for sure that they will more than that they definitely will do because they did this with GTA Online. I'm pretty sure whenever in a couple of years, whenever we start hearing stuff about GTA 6, they'll have something where you can get an item, a weapon, or cash that you can use in GTA 6 by logging into Red Dead Online and playing. So that's something that they probably are going to do in the future, provided that, as you said, people are still playing Red Dead Online. But we have to wait and see what they do, I guess, to see whether or not it brings that many people back to it.
Yeah, we'll see. Um, I guess other than Red Dead, I've been playing the hell out of Forza Horizon 4. Like, it's incredible how much time I've spent in that game. But I've gotten to the point where I've done it all, Rich. I've done every single race that's offered in that game. Like, the last thing I was doing was kind of achievement hunting, but some of those achievements are tedious. So it's just like, you know what? I'm never going to get that. That's tough. But as far as like content, I'm starving for more, man. They need to drop that next expansion. And that last expansion, it was cool, but it wasn't enough. It was kind of like once I got it done, I felt like they could have gave us more, but
I mean, like all Xbox owners are starving for more, but yeah, that goes
Oh,
without saying.
whoa. That's what
I'll come up with something later. But what was I gonna say? But yeah, man, like I've done every single race. If you look at my achievements, I've got like almost all of them except like 3 or 4. So I'm just waiting for them to drop a new expansion for that. Other than Forza, let me get to some bad. I played Below because I got Game Pass during the holiday, and I got a chance to play Below. And honestly, I didn't really know much about Below other than the trailers that we've been seeing for like 4 years at E3, Microsoft. We've been seeing that game for a while. And man, this is the reason I don't like indie games. I know indie games are like the talk of the town sometimes, but they get too much credit. Indie games are not that great. Because this one, I guess I played it for like 3 hours before I decided that, all right, I'm never playing this ever again. So it's like a top-down game. Like you're very far from your character. Your character's basically a dot just walking around. And you have like a little sword and a little bow and arrow. And I don't know how to describe it exactly. It's kind of like Metroidvania, Castlevania, but I don't think it's that big of a scale because once you die, you literally start from the very beginning of the game. So I don't know how big the game is, but I just knew that I didn't like it. The art style looks cool, but like they didn't do anything with it, and I don't feel like there's that much of a game there. So I don't know, man. If I was reviewing Below, I would give it a 2 out of 5. A 1.5 out of 5. But yeah, I tried that, and then I started to play not Lost Odyssey. What's that game called? Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I loved Assassin's Creed. What's the last one? I forget, man. They need to just do numbers.
Origin.
Yeah,
Origin. There you go. Origin and Odyssey. Who's the genius who thought of that? But anyways, I played Odyssey, and I loved Origins because of the setting. And I've never particularly been fond of the Greek Spartan setting. Like I didn't really like 300. Kratos is cool, but whatever. But yeah, so I've never been fond of it, and I'm not too fond of this game either. Like it's fun, it's cool. Like it does a lot of what Origins did great. It probably does it a little bit better, but it's just like it's uninteresting to me as far as the story goes. Like it's kind of just like bland, like just kind of silly.
Really?
Yeah, I don't feel that attached to the characters. Not like I did in the last game where like, I liked Bayek. I liked his story. I liked the setting really like added to that story. And I feel like with this one it's like maybe I just feel like Greek and Spartans, that shit's been done to the ground to me at least.
Mm.
Wait, which character did you choose?
I chose the girl.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't really know how they each play. Like I don't know what the difference is. Is it the same story but just different perspectives? I don't know.
No, it is the same story. Although I heard that a lot of people like the girl a lot more than the guy. So it's interesting to hear that it's not as compelling as Origins.
Yeah, it's really not to me at least. What was I gonna get at? Yeah, I just feel like it's not that compelling, and I think a lot of maybe some of the reason is because I started that game as soon as I beat Red Dead, and
Mm.
like I think right now what I need is just a linear game. I'm kind of tired of these big open world games. Like everything is an immersive world game, and that takes a lot of fucking time and a lot of energy out of you.
I
Like,
feel you.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I was telling my brother, like, hey, what games can I play? And he's like naming games, and I'm like, man, every game of those has side quests and a big map and like this and that. And like, I don't want to do that. I just need like a shoot, get through the levels shooting. But yeah, I think I did myself a disservice by playing Origin. So that might be, or Odyssey right after Red Dead. So that might be why I'm like not too compelled by it right now. But it's fun. I've been playing it, but I'm kind of. It feels like a chore a little bit to me.
You
Um,
know, it's very funny hearing you say this because I do know that Mr. Tony Polanco over at the Throwdown made the exact same comment after playing Red Dead and then playing this. It's like, yeah, it's finding it hard to really enjoy this game because Red Dead was so good. So that's interesting to hear that.
but there's also things uh, that I appreciate about Odyssey because it's like riding that horse way faster and way quicker, and you don't fall off when you hit a tree and shit like that. That's
Oh
great.
yeah,
That's great.
Yeah, it's not
Uh,
realistic, but it's great.
yeah, like some of the it being not realistic works to its benefit.
mm.
But yeah, like I said, the story's just kind of bland, and I feel like that's the main issue with like Assassin's Creed games. It's like they're all play the same, they're all the same thing. That's not the issue. The issue is like the setting. Like if the setting appeals to you, you're probably gonna like it. Um, so yeah, I mean the setting doesn't appeal to me, so that's probably why I'm not like in love with it. I'm like mixed on it. Like I'm still playing it, but it just kind of feels like a chore. That's the best way I could describe it.
I see what you're saying.
And that's pretty much it as far as what I've been playing.
And what about the holidays? There was nothing going on for the holidays.
Just food, man. Food and in-laws.
Oh yes, food and in-laws.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
nah, it's alright. I got my Yeezys scuffed, but
You got your Yeezys?
yeah, no. Well, I had them already, but during the holidays, I wore them, and some little nigga stepped on my shoe with mud on them.
Uh-oh.
How did you react? Like, did you hit him?
Well, I didn't realize in the moment,
Uh,
and then afterwards, I thought.
He was hot after that.
so
Yeah, man.
what's your process of cleaning the Yeezys?
At the moment, I kind of just got a baby wipe and I like cleaned them, but they still have that little like stain on them to this day right now. To this day. You seen that?
I did see that.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I did see that clip.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah, but my girl bought them for me, so it's okay. I'll make her buy me some more.
Oh, whoa. Uh-oh.
That sounds like love right there.
That's definitely love.
Y'all should try it sometime.
Word.
Yeah, one day, one day. I'm not rushing to nothing. One day. All right. Yeah. Thank you both for talking about what you've been playing and what you've been up to. As for me, mine's is going to be a little bit more brief than y'all's because I didn't really get to play any games. I decided to go back to Boston for the holidays, and I spent a lot of time with family. Uh, my brother, while I was there, this guy, all he was playing was NBA 2K19. You know, online with all these other people trying to play, you know, these team games, and I got a kick out of watching that. You know, I would see them, you know, whoop a lot of people, and then also a couple of times they got whooped, and I especially laughed when they got whooped by the other people online. But I didn't really have any chance to play any games. I didn't bring no systems with me, and I was down there for about 2.5 weeks back in Boston. Um, Aside from that, though, yeah, the holidays, I just wanted to spend some time away. There are some things that I have been working on. There's some content that I do have that I have been working on, gaming related. But a lot of that stuff, the embargoes haven't quite lifted yet. So I can say there'll definitely be some stuff that you guys will see a lot of this month, because finally I will be able to talk about more stuff that I've actually played prior to going away for the holidays. But aside from that, it was just a laid back, spending time with the family, you know, making sure that I see everybody, because I don't really call family all the time throughout the year. I mean, I do talk to my immediate family, but then there's other people on the side of the family I don't really talk to that much. I only see them whenever I'm in town. So I just spent a lot of time doing that for the most part. And I have to say, I'm glad that I did that. I had an excellent time. But for Christmas, went to one of my first onesie parties. That was a very interesting experience. Yes, I have to say, very very funny, good time. Went to one of those Christmas sweater parties. That was also funny too.
Wait, what kind of onesie did you wear?
Oh, I just had on a red and black one. Um, you know, maybe there will be a picture in the future. I don't know yet about all that. I don't think everybody
Oh
wants to see
man,
that.
Yeah, we need those pictures, man.
we need them. That could be like the cover of the podcast.
All right, so we'll see. We'll see. We'll look into that. We'll look into that.
We need the
But
footages.
oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll definitely look into that. The best thing about that particular party, you know, obviously, you know, they had drinks and stuff there, you know, but we actually played this card game called Cards Against Humanity. I don't know if you guys have ever played that
I
game.
played it. I played it.
That game can be very very entertaining, but
Yeah, it's
especially,
fun.
but you know, the people that I was playing with, they like to drink, and they made it a drinking game too. So I enjoyed the hell out of seeing them get drunk.
That's exactly how we were playing when I played
Okay, okay, that's funny. That's
it.
funny.
And there was other substances involved as well.
Oh, whoa, uh-oh. Other substances besides alcohol. I wonder what that might be.
Yeah, you know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to know that, Rich.
Oh yeah, but you know what, that was a fun time. I think that was one of the highlights of the trip, to go to that party. They already are going to start planning the next one, so looking forward to that later this year. Later this year. But yeah, aside from that, it's just the regular holidays, spending time with family, and you know, went to go see a couple of movies. I'll probably talk about that stuff on movie casts, but that was pretty much it for me for what I did during the holidays. For those that are a little angry that I didn't play quite as much or anything at all, don't worry. There's a lot of stuff dropping this month that I am going to be playing, so I will have a lot to talk about with as far as that's concerned as we get past the next couple of weeks.
Rich,
Yeah.
what was your movie of 2018?
Oh man, this is a tough question. When I recorded the movie cast with Dana, I said there was one movie in particular that I thought was the best movie of 2018. I know it's a movie that a lot of people did not see, and they will disagree, but I don't give a damn. It's a movie called Searching. That by far to me was one of the best movies I saw. It didn't have any issues with it. The story, you know, is a lot of the things. You see the trailer, you think you know how everything is going to turn out, but they had some twists and turns in the story itself. And you had to pay attention to that movie to understand when it finally revealed what actually happened. You're like, oh, well, wow. Yeah. So I thought that was a great movie. There was a lot of good movies that came out last year though, but my personal favorite is was that movie because just caught me by surprise.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. You guys have to see it, and you have to tell me whether or not you
I've
agree
heard
or
of it, but I haven't seen it. I should probably catch it.
yeah, you tell me whether you agree or you strongly disagree, and we can debate that in the future. Yes. Okay. So that pretty much covers what we have been up to for these last couple of weeks. I hope everybody that is watching or listening later, I hope that you all had a great holiday season, and definitely looking forward to seeing what this year has in store. And with that said, let's get into the first of our two big news stories to talk about this week. Now, I will just say right off the bat, I wasn't expecting there to be any news this week because we just started a new year. So I'm like, it's probably going to be a dead week. There's probably not going to be much to talk about. But obviously, there were two major things that did happen. I'm going to address the most recent thing first, and then we'll get into the other second one. So yesterday, we learned that Activision has finally separated from Bungie in regards to Destiny 2 and the Destiny IP in general. Now Bungie owns all of the rights to Destiny, the IP, everything, so on and so forth. So I did see that there was another report that came out today that said that the analysts are pretty much saying that Destiny 3 will be out in 2020. That's what their guess is. I think that makes sense to because I mean that this Destiny 2 did come out. Yeah, the time adds up. It's pretty accurately, so we'll see about that. But first and foremost, I wanted to ask you guys opinion about this. First and foremost, two questions. Number one, what do you think are you happy that Destiny is now its own thing for Bungie and no longer part of Activision? And then number two, do you think that someone else may try to come in and acquire, uh, that Destiny IP as well as Bungie now that Activision is no longer in the picture? So, Gary, since I know that you are a diehard Destiny fan, and I recall you just could not stop playing the first game. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
There, there's a lot to unpack here. And there's another conversation regarding this that I want to have, but I'm going to focus specifically on the Bungie thing first, and I'll come back to that after we finish discussing Bungie specifically. So, um, to me, I can kind of, I mean, the news was surprising to me when I saw it. But when I thought back to everything I'd heard about the handling of both Destiny and Destiny 2, it kind of made sense. Because I remember hearing specifically with Destiny 2 that there were a lot of things that the team at Bungie were unhappy about that they were forced to do because of Activision. Particularly with the way the drops are handled and things like that. The the drops that you get as you play and things like that. So yeah, like it makes sense. Like, cause I heard a lot of behind the scenes stuff that they didn't always agree on certain things, and then when you think back to that first Destiny and you think about how they were selling the experience as something that was supposed to be like a 10-year thing, and what did we get? We got Destiny 1 and we got Destiny 2, within like 2 years of each other or something, like 2 or 3 years. So clearly they didn't live up to what they originally planned to do, and I do feel like Bungie had a more grand idea of what Destiny should be, but Activision are just so money hungry that I feel like their business practices kind of stepped on Bungie's toes a little bit, and that changed the entire course of what they had planned. Now we know Bungie to be a very talented and a very creative studio. We've seen what they did with the Halo games, and Destiny, hands down, that first Destiny, I would still say it's one of the most standout games of this generation, just because of the impact that it had and the things that it did, the things that it introduced to this generation. Um, and I feel like if Bungie was given full reign to do just whatever they want, that could have been like monumental. Like, it could have been way bigger. We could have still been playing that first Destiny. It probably would just be, a lot different now. Like, there would be a lot more content for it. They probably wouldn't even be a Destiny 2. So I could see why this would happen, and I'm actually happy for Bungie that this happened, because I feel like now that they're kind of going independent, um, well, depending how you perceive things, because there were a few other news tidbits that happened around this story, but um, if they are going fully independent and staying independent, and they're going to have the freedom to do what they want to do, then I think this works out better for them in the long run. And, they retain the rights to Destiny. So I'm very interested now to see what they're going to do next. So I'm happy for them. The only thing I'm worried about is budgeting and things like that. Because, are they, if they're independent, are they going to be able to put in the budgets that they need? Are they going to get support from, all the other people and everything? Um, and of course, we've seen different things. Like Phil Spencer came out and tweeted saying he's looking forward to working with them again and things like that. So,
Uh-oh.
um,
I actually didn't see that tweet.
oh, you didn't see
Uh-oh.
that? Yeah,
That's,
like
that's
he
news to me.
he was saying, I can't remember, the exact quote, but it was along the lines of he's looking forward to working with talented Bungie again and things like that. And that got people wondering whether Microsoft was going to step in and buy them again. Like, so of course that conversation came up. But I think the best thing for Bungie is to stay independent and continue to make third party projects. I don't think it will be beneficial to, go back to Microsoft or even go to Sony, if they offered. Like, I think they should just stay where they're at, and just do the independent third party thing. Because look at what CD Projekt is doing. Like, they're third party and they're putting out great stuff, great content, and, they're doing what they want to do. And I feel like Bungie needs to be in that kind of space. So that's what I want from them. But what do you guys think?
All right. I have a few thoughts, but I'm gonna go to Ed first. So Ed, the first question is, what do you think about this Bungie now going independent, and do you think that there's anybody that should pick them up?
Uh, I think somebody should pick them up, but I don't think it would be in Bungie's best interest because at this point, like that were a part of Microsoft, they were a part of Activision. I think by now they know, like, okay, we don't really like uh, having like a parent company tell us what to do, or
Hmm.
like I would assume that now they, and especially now that they own Destiny, it's like, okay, this is our baby, we have full control. Let's keep it that way. Um, and I mean, I don't know how much Activision played a part in Destiny. I know they did, as far as like the content that was released, the timely content. Um, I believe Activision was the ones who told Bungie that, like, hey, y'all got to drop stuff like once a year instead of like, oh, do this like multiple times a year, like, kind of making Destiny a service. From what I read, I'm not entirely accurate.
No,
Um,
that's accurate.
but yeah, and I feel like Destiny was always a game that it was good, but it always had like a little bit of shortcomings that made it like the standout game that I think that it has the potential to be. So I guess now that they have full control of this, it's literally on them at this point. Like if Destiny 3 or whatever they're gonna do next uh, doesn't pan out, that's on them. And I I really like that position for them. because it's like you're at this point you're letting your work speak for itself now. You got nobody intruding in what you want. Everybody's gonna want to publish your game anyways. Like, I'm pretty sure Sony or Microsoft will throw money at you to, hey, brand this game on our console. Like, let the Destiny 3 commercials be Xbox or something. So, that's probably the only type of partnership that they would do. But yeah, I'm just curious to see what happens to them. I think Gary made a good point that they could be like a CD Projekt Red, and I hope they don't become like a small studio doing like little games and stuff like that. Like, nah, they have the resources to make these massive games, and I hope they continue that. Don't go to EA. Don't go to EA.
Yeah, EA. Well, no, EA has their own. Speaking of EA, I mean, I am going to make a couple of shocking comments now in regards to this situation. So, I know Gary made the comment earlier that he feels that Destiny is still one of the most standout games from this generation in terms of it being a new game. I understand when Destiny first came out, it did feel like it was a phenomenon. There was no early review scores because it was an online only game. So I remember when we had got our copy, it was very clear that this is not, we got it the day of launch. So I understand what Gary is saying, but I do believe that EA's little game with BioWare called Anthem, that can definitely be better than the first Destiny because it will actually have a story. Because that first Destiny game, that story was complete garbage. The character names, the whether it's what is the Watcher, the Witch, the Visitor. It's just the most random, random cookie cutter name that you could think of for some of the characters. So that's it. Yeah, that plus the actual story and I know that it was revealed later that the original script that was written. I mean, they made sure not to use that guy. That was the guy who I believe, Marty O'Donnell, I believe, who worked on a Halo, who was doing some of that original writing for that story. But they just said, no, we're not going to do that. They wanted to take it in another direction. So I do think that Bungie definitely is better off doing their own stuff independently. Of course, when you do decide to become independent, it is a game of looking at your finances and making sure you're managing them efficiently. But if you know your audience and they know the type and love the type of work that you do, there's definitely a way for them to do that. Now, I know that they definitely want to possibly do a Destiny 3. That's fine. If I was them, I would have just started with a new project completely. But because Destiny already has a fan base, they want to make sure they want to do Destiny 3 so that they can definitely capitalize off of that. But after Destiny 3, I want to see them work on something completely different. If Destiny 3 is a success, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be successful because, again, it already has a fan base, and there's going to be a lot of fans who enjoyed Destiny 1 and 2 who want to see what they actually do with the third one when Activision is not involved in anything that they're doing. So I'll be curious to see what the future holds for the game. I am glad they are separated from everybody else. And Phil Spencer's comment, very interesting to hear that. But Phil, they are too busy acquiring a whole bunch of other studios. So if Phil Spencer doesn't decide to acquire this, I'll be happy for that. Let him continue to work with what they have already acquired. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Destiny. But I will tell you this: that Anthem, we've had a lot of jokes on this show. Anthem is going to be trash. I don't know, man. Anthem could end up being a good game. I mean, the funny thing about Destiny is that it inspired so many other games this generation, like Anthem, The Division, so on and so forth. And The Division is still, received pretty positively as well. And so I know The Division 2 is going to do well when that comes out in March. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens with Destiny. But yeah, Gary, you are right. That is what started the trend this generation in terms of the type of game that it was. So I'm very curious to see what Bungie does next to add more to this franchise now that they don't have to worry about any restrictions from Activision. So we'll see. So
Yeah, I do have some things to say about Anthem, but I'll save that for later. Um, and before I get into the other thing I wanted to address, just to kind of like harp on what you were saying. Um, I do think they're gonna focus on making Destiny 3 or whatever they may call it, but I think they're going to really make the Destiny that they wanted to make originally now. Like, and I don't think it's gonna be a case of, okay, this is Destiny 3, and then after Destiny 3 we're gonna make this game and then this other game. I feel like they are going to make a new Destiny, and it's going to be an ongoing service that they're going to continue to produce content for years to come. Like, if you look at Warframe and games like
mm,
that, I think they're going to do something like that, where it's like this is their breadwinner game, like their flagship game that they're going to keep working on for years
that
and
is a
years.
great
So,
that is a great idea. So if that happens, Gary, Bungie owe you some money.
oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess they could give me some money, but this is what they originally wanted to do. So it makes sense that now, if they have full control over the IP, now they can do it because now they're free of Activision. So speaking of Activision, I'm gonna get into what I wanted to say, and Activision are quickly getting into my bad books right now because I've been following a lot of Activision Blizzard news because obviously I'm a Blizzard fan. I love Overwatch, and I love a few of the other Blizzard titles. Now I've been seeing a lot of things over the past couple months, like there's CEOs in Blizzard and Activision like leaving all the time, selling their stocks and just bouncing and things like that. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that doesn't always get reported. But I follow a lot of like dark web bloggers on YouTube and stuff that cover all the Activision Blizzard stuff. So I see everything that's going on with Activision and Blizzard, and it seems like there's a lot of infighting between Activision and Blizzard. Now, for those who aren't aware, like, it wasn't a case of Activision acquiring Blizzard. This is actually like a partnership kind of thing. It's like they're both at equal level within like, it's a merger basically. Like the two companies merged, and they're both equal in the merger kind of thing. But there's a lot of infighting going on between Activision and Blizzard, and it all comes down to earnings and how much revenue the entity as a whole is making. And Activision feels like Blizzard are wasting too much money by having the same games and not putting out enough new games like consistently. So Activision wants Blizzard to make more, games consistently. And it's led to a lot of infighting, and
Uh
Activision
oh.
has been having people from Blizzard leave like to work on other games at Activision and things like that, and that's hurting the Blizzard games. Um, and it's hurting Overwatch as a matter of fact because there's a lot of new features and new content that was supposed to come, but it's been delayed just because there's so much other stuff going on in Activision Blizzard. And then also with Heroes of the Storm, they cancelled the entire esports tournament for 2019. So things like that are happening, you know, at Blizzard, and people are leaving Blizzard all the time. They're becoming more short-staffed on their projects, and even the Overwatch League has been in question a few times to where like how can they afford it kind of thing. So when you see all these different things happening between Activision Blizzard, it completely makes sense that it didn't work out with Activision and Bungie. And you can see why, because if Activision has this mindset where they just want to pump out new iterations of games constantly, like Call of Duty, um, you yeah, like you could see why other studios who actually want to focus on creating great content and serving the fan base and providing what gamers actually want, you could see how they wouldn't get along with Activision. They wouldn't play nicely together because Activision just has a completely different mindset. So I just wanted to, bring that up to shine more light on Activision's way of thinking and, how they do business as a whole. Um, and I just hope that, they don't continue to cripple companies like Bungie and Blizzard. And also, we saw when you saw that whole controversy over the Diablo game that's coming to mobile.
Oh yeah, yep.
Activision actually pushed for that. They said it's a fact. Like they said they needed to make more mobile content, and that put pressure on Blizzard, and they had to come up with some mobile content. So there you go.
Well, that's so yeah, basically this is the bad side of Activision, which is why Bungie is happy they were celebrating that they finally are no longer a part of that. Well, I must admit I didn't know all this was happening with Activision and Blizzard, so that's I don't know what to say about that, man. Hopefully, you still will have an Overwatch 2 in the future. Um,
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't want like the fan base of Overwatch. They don't particularly want an Overwatch 2. They just want new content for Overwatch as it is now. Like they want new things
do,
added to
do,
this game. So
do they want a campaign, a story mode campaign, or do they know they say no? We only like the multiplayer. We don't need no other story content.
I mean, yeah, everyone wants story content, and what they've been doing is they've been releasing, like they have certain events where for a limited time you get to play certain story-based missions.
Hmm.
So they had one last year where you get to like play a few of the characters before they, before uh, one of the characters turned into a bad guy, you got to play like his mission kind of thing. So they had that last year, and it lasted for like a month. But what happened after that was they didn't make any more content like that. They didn't make any more new story based content like that because they didn't have the staff or the resources to do it because because of reasons like this that what I just explained about Activision. So yeah,
Interesting.
I mean, there's definitely potential for Blizzard to add more story content to the games, but it's just a case of they don't have the staff and the budget and everything like that to do it. So,
Yeah, no,
and
I totally understand that.
and they're working on so many things. So, yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know anything about that, but I guess I know Ed doesn't care about Overwatch. Hopefully, that news didn't put him to sleep. So um, what's you
And
at?
I feel like every developer is kind of responsible for themselves. Like, I don't think that everything is like Activision doing it. Like, Blizzard is also like, bro, you're like Blizzard. Like, how are you letting some dork CEO tell you what to do, what to make? Like, I just don't believe that.
I mean, it all comes down to shareholders because at the end of like every period or year or whatever, they're looking at it like, okay, Activision is here making a ton of money every year off of this Call of Duty game and these other things that they're doing, and Blizzard just has the same games and the same fan base, but it's a very huge and a very loyal fan base, mind you. But uh, the shareholders don't care about that. They want the money to grow. They don't care about stability and the same loyal following that's going to guarantee them money every year. They just want new money. Like they're greedy. So
It,
that's what creates situations like that.
maybe this is taking it a little bit too far fetched, but the way I also look at it is that once the people hire you and they are paying you, then they pretty much are going to try to control every aspect of whatever it is that you make because it's for them and for their own benefit. They don't care about oh, you have an idea of something you want to do? Well, that's too bad. You're going to do what the hell I want to do because I'm the one that's paying. So that's possibly another reason why they just said you're going to make this game and that's it. But
Exactly.
that's just my thought.
I feel like Blizzard should call their bluff.
They should, but it's that's America. That's your country right there.
but but
Capitalism.
but
But also, like, hold on, just real quick. But like, somebody at Blizzard has to want to work on something new. Like,
yeah,
if I was a developer, if I was like a game developer, whatever, I would not want to work at Valve, and I would not want to work at Blizzard because you get stuck doing the same boring shit. I would assume that you're a creative person, like, and you're at this company and you don't get to like create anything new. You're just doing expansion packs for Warcraft or whatever. Like, I would quit.
Yeah, and see, like, a lot of the reason why Blizzard lasted so long, even before this merger, is because a lot of them were actual fans of the games. Like they were passionate about the games. Like they were actual people who had passion for these projects specifically. So a lot of the developers and the people working there, they were happy to endure all the like you said, like the same stuff over and over because they were that passionate about it. But now they're more of a corporate, it's more of a corporate environment, so now they're having people who aren't happy to continue to work on the projects, and that creates a lot of issues too. So I mean, yeah, you're right in some regard. Like there are going to be people who don't like working on the same thing over and over, but that's it's like a side effect of their growth, of them getting bigger. Like now they have to deal with that, whereas before when they were smaller it was all people who were passionate about those games. So
yeah, interesting.
Do you think you know how like it takes them a long time to make a sequel, like a full sequel? Do you think it'll take as long to do Overwatch 2?
yeah, probably because they were working on Overwatch for years. Like at one point it was called something completely different, Titan or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it would probably take them a long time. And plus they have so much going on for the current Overwatch that they have to worry about. So um, it's not gonna.
That's probably what Activision would want, though, right?
Yeah, that's
Oh yeah,
that's what that see
they
that's
definitely want Activision. They gonna definitely want to Overwatch 2 now after this.
After the
After Bungie's
success.
gone. Yeah.
if Activision had their own way, there would be an Overwatch every single year. So
But see, why doesn't that happen?
I do not want a new Overwatch every single year. Like it
But
makes
like,
no
why?
sense.
Like, but that goes to the point where you said that Activision comes in and they'll be like, "Oh, make a Diablo mobile." How come they can't come in and be like, "Hey, it's 2 years now. Let's start working on Overwatch 2."
I mean that's what they're trying to do essentially. But
It's
um,
gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And Gary will be pissed, but he will still pick up and buy Overwatch 2 when that happens.
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how I'd feel because the type of game it is, like they don't need a new one. Like they just need to add to this one.
Okay, let's make a Overwatch with the story. Like, let's tell the story of Tracer.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you could add that to this one. Like you could just add the story content straight into this Overwatch that exists now.
But what if they want to
I
do like fully revamped graphics, a new engine, and everything?
Then yeah, I guess they would need a different game. But
I
that's.
just
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to make a quick little random comment about Overwatch, and then I promise we can get back on topic, and then we can go to the other topics. I just find it very fascinating how when Overwatch came out, it was just the bare bones, didn't have all the content, but people praised this game. And this for this entire generation, there have been many games like this where it comes out, it's not completely finished, but it gets trash. But games like this, because it's Blizzard, because of the Blizzard and stuff like that, it's just like it got a pass. Because when I saw the game, don't get it twisted, the game is fun. When it first came out, yeah, it's fine, but to me, it didn't really look like it had that much content. So now, but the story thing is something I always go back to because I figure, man, they could have added something to that. But again, I just find it interesting how there are people that complain when a game comes out, it doesn't have everything. Then they complain about some of that. But then, depending on who the developer is, they're like, oh, well, don't worry about that. We'll give that a pass and we'll just still play the game because that developer is awesome. So I just find that interesting how that's how some things are these days. But
It's
I don't want to
because
go
like
off topic.
it's because like Overwatch as a concept is different to your normal first person shooter. Like this was made to be an online esport shooter kind of game, you know? Like it wasn't made to be like a Call of Duty or your usual first person shooters with a campaign mode and a separate online. Like it wasn't designed to be like that. Like it was and it wasn't that like when it came out it wasn't unfinished. Like that was the game, that was how it's supposed to be, and it was going to introduce more heroes over time and more content over time. Like that's the game that they made it to be. And if you look at
Hmm.
Blizzard's history, that's the type of game they make online experiences that they continue to add to. They don't
Okay.
make these big campaign games, like and then move on to the next one or whatever. Like they make WoW, which has been going for like over what is it, like 17 years now or something, 15 16 17, something like that.
Oh yeah.
um and they have Diablo, they have Hearthstone. All of these are online experiences that have been going for years, and they continue to add content to it. So Overwatch, it wasn't supposed to be like your regular story mode game. So it wasn't that it was unfinished. It was just that people expected it to have story mode and all this stuff because it was like the characters are so well designed, and they were memed so much, and they were appearing so much on social media that people were like, how come this doesn't have a story? Like, where's the story? Why is it just like, a shooter? Like, so that's why those conversations were happening, because people were so attracted to the characters and the animated shorts, so they didn't really understand, what the game was. They assumed that it was a story game. So
I got you. Okay. That's a good explanation. Yes. Okay. We're good. We're good on that now. I understand. So
but yeah, I
uh,
mean, getting back to the Bungie thing, I just feel like the like based on what everything I've learned about the situation with Blizzard, that's clearly what happened with Destiny. And even going back to that online experience, like service based game where that continues on for years, th- you know um
well,
that's a lot of the issue with Destiny 2, because I got the feeling that Bungie were just completely not happy with Destiny 2 at all.
I did want to ask you a quick question. So let's say that let's say that Blizzard does decide to separate themselves from Activision. Do you think Activision would try and say, okay, you can separate us from us, but we're going to keep this Overwatch IP? Or do you think that they will go ahead and give Blizzard the rights to that, have them keep the rights to the game?
I mean, I see. I don't, that's a question on the legal structure of that company, because it's Like I said, like it's a merger. You know, it's not like Activision owns Blizzard. It's a merger kind of thing. Like they're all under one roof kind of thing.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how the rights work there. Whether Blizzard retains all of their IPs and Activision retains all theirs. You know, in the case of them splitting, I think that that's the case. I think each entity would retain its own IPs. But who knows? Like I guess it can get pretty complicated based on the different legal contracts and things that they have in place. So, but
Okay.
I think Blizzard would keep it though, personally. But if Activision ever got hold of Overwatch, that would be a disaster, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I agree. I agree. Blizzard needs to keep they need to keep all of their IPs, in my opinion. But that's just a quick question I asked. So I didn't want to cut you off. Was there anything else that you or Ed wanted to say on this topic before we move on to the next?
I said everything I wanted to say.
I just can't wait for Overwatch 2 on mobile.
The day that happens, that's when I stop playing Overwatch.
Although, like, for real though, it is kind of a shame that they haven't done crossplay on Overwatch.
Yeah, I do agree that is a little ridiculous because it's been in all these other little games, but I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell why that hasn't been something that has been seriously discussed. I guess fans have not expressed the interest. I don't know if fans out there have expressed serious interest in that, but it seems like it should be something that should happen. But whatever, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
all I'll say on that is Overwatch is a very hard game to balance. Like, like very, very hard. I'll just say that.
okay. Well, that's the answer then. We'll see what happens. All right, let's move on to this next topic because I'm pretty sure Ed is going to have something to say, controversial to say about this. I actually have something controversial to say also. Um, so we found out earlier this week that the PlayStation 4 has now sold 91 million units since it launched. With that news for the holidays, we also found out that Spider-Man has sold 9 million copies. So congrats to Insomniac Games and Sony on the success of Spider-Man. And then, of course, Sony on the PlayStation 4 sales. So I wanted to ask you guys, how do you feel about this news? Um, and it does go into the next question I'm going to ask. But before I get to that other question, first and foremost, how do you feel about PlayStation 4 selling 91 million units? Are you happy for them, or are you salty? And I'm going to go to you first, Ed.
Alright, well, I gotta go outside real quick to do something, but the only thing I have to say about this news is fake news.
Okay. Well, allow me to just make a quick comment, and then I'm gonna go to you, Gary. I know there are some people out there. Now we have said multiple times on this show, throughout this generation. I mean, I've given Sony credit when they've done good things, and I've also criticized them, and the same goes for Microsoft and Nintendo. So with Sony, I think this generation, I have seen some people comment as if Sony is not getting enough credit for all the great things they are doing. I disagree with that because Sony, we've said multiple times on this show, they've done a great job in terms of delivering exclusive games. Now, was every exclusive game that they have ever released amazing? In no way in hell. And I could say the same about Xbox. I could say the same about Nintendo, even though there will be people that will disagree with that. But I will say 91 million, that's a good number. Um, so I do applaud them for that. I still am going to say that, I mean, I do believe that this is definitely a sign that PS5 is coming. By the time they hit 100 million, which I expect them to hit this year, I think now they can definitely talk about, okay, we're working on PS5, and I do believe we'll probably see that next year, if not 2021. But I just have to say, while I do want to applaud Sony for the positive things that they have done, they have also made some mistakes this generation. PlayStation Now is one of those mistakes. So we have to make sure that we are balanced in saying when they do make errors, yes, we always address that. We don't hold none of that stuff back because I feel if you want to be honest and critical about everything, you have to always look at the positives and the negatives. So I just wanted to make that known that yes, I'm happy that PlayStation 4 is selling well. It is the number one console, but know that if you are number one, you still have to be criticized for that. So believe me, there will still be criticisms that we will make. And as we spoke about on this show a couple weeks ago about them, jumping out of E3 last year and then deciding not to have PSX, all of this stuff. Yeah, it's good for Sony, I guess, to take a break, but man, this year is wide open for Microsoft. So I'm very curious to see what happens with Microsoft now, and we'll get into that stuff a little bit later here. But
Microsoft is alive and well. I don't understand.
Yes.
How PlayStation 4 is the number one console. I don't understand.
Well, Gary, do you know why it's number one? Do you have any ideas? I mean, I believe I know why, but I'm gonna go to you first.
Yeah, I know why, because it has these things called games on there.
But here's the thing where I get, and like, I know I've been trolling the chat sometimes, but here's where my point is, man. Red Dead runs better on the Xbox One X. It's not on PC. So, and that's just one game. There's several games like that.
Yeah.
But these people that say that they're not fanboys, but yet they're playing the game that runs at a lesser rate on the PS4. I just don't get it.
Like Microsoft.
I own a PS4.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. And you're right. There are a ton of games that run better on Xbox and Xbox One X, but Microsoft never recovered from that bad PR at the start of the generation. I mean, that's
what started it. Like, that's the only thing that's literally the only reason that PS4 is number one.
Pretty much.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think, I mean, I'll admit PS4 has better exclusives, but I don't think that matters.
It wouldn't have mattered, because if you look at last generation, 360 was being carried off of all the third-party support it had. So
yep,
the same could have happened this generation. It's just they had that really bad PR at the start,
but
even just recovering from it now, I think.
Right, and I think so too, because they're making a lot of like they're all about games now, right? Microsoft, that is. But even the service, like the Xbox Live and PSN, and I'm not hating again, I'm stating facts. It's not on par to Xbox Live. PSN is not on par with it. Everything about it is clunky. Everything about it is slow. Big facts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, I can't argue with that because I don't play on Xbox.
Well, I just would like to say that as someone who picked up an Xbox One X this past summer, I am absolutely in no way, shape, or form disappointed with my purchase. And now every game that I want to play, I just want to play it on Xbox. So yeah, the Xbox One X is awesome. I wish that was the system they released when the first system they released. It's a lot smaller, it's faster, Of course, I don't have a 4K TV, so that is the one downside as to why I say I can't say that I truly see the difference visually, but to me, everything just feels like it runs better than it did, and it's not that huge Xbox One that I had because I had got the Elite one when it first came out, the Day One edition. So, yeah,
Let
but
me throw some. Let me throw some shots.
oh,
Now, I'm gonna do it very PG. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna wild out. I'm not gonna wild out. But for Tony Polanco to come on this show and call Forza Horizon 4 overrated.
when did this happen? I don't remember this. This particular.
It happened. It might have been in the chat. Actually, it might have been in the chat. You can go back to it.
Okay.
This man called Forza Horizon 4 overrated. Like I don't even know what to even say to that. Like for real? Like you're calling overrated to one of the probably the best reviewed racing game? Like that's just a shame. That's terrible.
Are you saying you would like to address Tony on the show? Because I mean,
I would love to. I would love to.
Because I mean, you can't call him out when he's not here. You gotta have this is a conversation that you have to have when he's here.
Tony Polanco, the guy who calls himself a gamer, and he cares all about game. Remember last generation when everybody cared about graphics? Well, now all of that, all the technical advances are on Xbox One X, but people aren't willing to give it a chance. They keep pushing the goal line. They keep pushing the goal line, and it's not always fair and cool. I get it, life ain't fair, but some people just don't want Microsoft to win. Ever.
But okay, like these same arguments you're using right now, that's the arguments that PlayStation 3 owners were using last generation. So
like what? Like which one?
It's a changing of the cards. That's what happens. One company wins for a period of time, then the next company wins for a period of time, and that's just what it is. Like Sony is winning right now.
But I feel like even last gen, somehow the Sony gamers, the ponies, would figure a way to spin the story and make themselves the elite console or whatever, when it clearly wasn't. I'm sorry, but all of the innovation is happening on the Microsoft side. We invented achievements. That is the greatest invention of last gen. Achievements. I said it.
I think I know what Gary is thinking to himself right now.
What's that?
He's thinking that the Ed went out and got a smoke when he said, "I need to step out for a second," and then we came back and started this conversation.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
That was not enough time. That would not have been enough time. But yeah, you're right. I shouldn't speak on Tony when he's not here. So, Mr. Tony Polanco, I challenge you to a versus.
Oh, whoa, okay. So I'm gonna have to make sure he gets this message.
You come at the king, you best not miss.
Oh, whoa, woo. All right, that's gonna be interesting. That's something to look forward to, people.
We'll see. We'll contact both parties and see what happens.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantee in that. But we'll see. But
let's get it cracking with Crackdown.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to say on this discussion, but I think we're gonna cover it on a topic we're gonna get to. So, Rich, what next?
Yeah, I don't. Well, the only thing I was going to say, because you said there is more to say. I was going to say, since we're already talking about Sony and Microsoft, why don't we address? We'll get into the predictions here in a second because that's the main topic. But let's address what move should Sony make in 2019? What move should Microsoft make in 2019? And what move should, if any, should Nintendo make in 2019? So How about you go first, Ed? Let us know what you
I
think. Yeah, go ahead.
At this point, it's too late for victory. Like, we're already gearing up for the next console. So for this year, Microsoft should just keep doing what they're doing, release some of the games that are in line to be out this year. Gears, Crackdown. I'm not sure what the hell else they got, but but yeah, they should just keep doing everything they're doing as far as their services. Game Pass. If you don't have Game Pass and you have an Xbox, you're just doing yourself a disservice, man. Because they are constantly adding shit to it. I always wanted to play Just Cause 3. Now I can because it's on Game Pass. And yeah, no, you can buy all these games, but sometimes we don't. At least I don't buy everything. I'm not that dude. Like, I don't be buying a lot of games. I'll buy the big ones, but the games that get 7s and 8s, I probably don't buy them. So it's cool to have like a bunch of games that I didn't own before that I'm playing now. Like Life is Strange. Life is Strange 1, and then they're adding the second season now. So now I get to play that. Go ahead.
Oh no, I didn't want to cut you off, but see, that to me is the other reason why Game Pass is significantly better than PlayStation Now, because it's also the new games. Because that Life is Strange Season 2, Episode 1, when I heard that news the other day, I was like, wow. Because Episode 2 comes out later this month. So I'm like, yeah, see, that is the one thing that people cannot argue. Like, because I know people are always like, oh, well, you can also play older games on PS Now. Yes, but you can't play new games, or even you can't play the fact that Gears 5 is going to be on Game Pass. Forza was on Game Pass. No, you can't play the newer games on there. You can play the old stuff, sure. But see, that right there is why Game Pass is unbeatable. It's an unbeatable value, and it is clearly better than PlayStation Now in every way imaginable because of that. So continue though.
I'm telling you, man, trendsetters over here. But yeah, then you got haters like Gary. He don't even have a Game Pass, and he could have it on his PC.
Yeah, when there's actual games that I'll get it.
You know how many games? You know how many Xbox One games you've missed out? Super Lucky's Tale. Wow, but you'll play Knack.
Nah, I don't play Knack.
You don't got no trophies for Knack.
No.
I'm gonna check your trophies, and if you got an achievement for Knack, I'm gonna give you a smack. Hi.
Okay, so
I forgot what else I was supposed to say.
So yeah, your predictions for I'm gonna say your so what's the move you think that Sony should make in 2019? You already said
Sony,
Microsoft nothing.
Man, Sony don't need to do anything because the Pony Defense Force is out there doing the work for them.
Okay.
No matter what they win. They won last gen, they won this gen. They'll win the next one.
Well, I don't know about that. That's to be determined for next generation.
Keep making games and taking forever to make them. That's cool.
Oh, how about Nintendo?
Nintendo's whack. They should just go away.
Yeah, okay. We'll see about that.
I tried playing the Switch during the holidays because when it's holiday time, there's no better time to play the Switch, I guess.
Yeah.
There's people around. I was bored out of my mind playing Mario Party. That shit is whack.
No, wait, hold on. No Smash Brothers. No Smash Brothers for you? You didn't try Smash Brothers at all?
Nah, I haven't even played it. I have it in my house, but I'm just not into Nintendo like that. But yeah, that shit was whack. Mario Party's whack.
Mario Party. It's crazy. So Ed is a party pooper. We can confirm that now.
I'd rather play Cards Against Humanity.
There you go. Yes, everybody needs to play that ASAP. Um, okay, Gary. How about you? What moves do you think that Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo should make in 2019?
Okay, so for Sony, I'm just gonna say to them that they need to address PlayStation Now. They need to upgrade that service. They need to revamp it or something, and they need to fix it so that because we know that they're probably gonna announce the next console this year, so they need to fix PlayStation Now so that it's a big selling point by the time the next console rolls out. Like because like you guys said, Game Pass is great value, it's a great service, so they need to match that and have something comparable to Game Pass. So that's the big thing I think they need to work on this year, besides the new console. Um, and as for Microsoft, they need to start working on their transition to next generation also, because they want to make sure that they have a good transition, and that it's not like the last one, because like we acknowledged before, that was a lot of their problems. They haven't recovered from the bad press that they got at the start of this generation, so they need to just keep Phil Spencer in there saying positive things, and just keep acquiring studios and keep working on new IPs. That's what they could do, because if they do that, then once we get to that next generation, there there's going to be people that are picking up Xbox over PlayStation if they keep showing us, what they're working on and what's coming in the pipeline, and if they keep acquiring notable studios. So I think they're already building momentum as we speak. Like they've already started to, during the end of 2018. I think they've started to build a lot of momentum, and I think that that will carry on this year. So they just need to keep doing what they're doing right now and just keep building towards that next generation where they could potentially steal a lot of the PS4 user base. So that's what they need to do. Just work on that. And Nintendo, I think they need to show us more first party stuff that's coming, because it's cool that they're getting a lot of the third party support, but a lot of those third party games that are coming to the Switch are downgrades compared to PS4 and Xbox and PC. Like they're the lesser versions of those games.
Hmm.
So if you own one of the other consoles or platforms, why would you even want to get? Besides the fact that it's portable, why would you even want to get one of those third-party games? Like it would literally only be if you want to play it on the go. Um, so the biggest selling point for them is the first party. That's a lot of the reason why people buy Nintendo systems. So they need to show us a lot more first party stuff that's coming, and that looks actually good enough to get people like me to buy the Switch. Um, so
Hmm.
I think that's what they need to do.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. All right. So I'm gonna keep mine real brief. Uh, so what Nintendo should needs to do in 2019, I think I mean I don't really know how bad the online experience is. I do think they need to find multiple ways to improve the whole thing of the fact that you have to use an app to chat with people on a phone, but yet you can't do any of this stuff on your actual Switch. I do think they need to figure out a way to make that experience better for the players as well as everybody involved. Because if you don't have a phone, you don't have that app, then I would assume that it's then you really will not be able to communicate with anybody that you play with. But then you do need to work on that. There are a couple of titles that I have heard are rumored to be coming out this year. One of those titles is Metroid Prime 4. We haven't seen nothing from Metroid ever since they first showed that graphic years ago at E3. So I would assume that if that is coming, you know, according to the speculation, is late at the end of the year. Well, that's great, you know. But yeah, they definitely have to reveal a lot more of the titles that are coming. But at the same time, I mean, today they actually dropped that the Super Mario Brothers U, the a port of the Wii U version onto for the Switch. They actually released that earlier today. So, and I know one thing that I do know about Nintendo Switch is they have been releasing ports of the Wii U games, and they have just been ridiculously selling left and right. Even at like Mario Kart, maybe they'll add like maybe one or two additional characters to the same port, and the game is just selling crazy. So I don't think Nintendo needs to do too much in terms of the lineup of games. Just reveal more about what you're working on, what's coming to Switch, and try to figure out how to make the online experience better. I think if they work on those two things, then yeah, they'll have an excellent 2019. That's for
To
one.
me, that's whack. Every time I see that on Twitter or something,
What's
that like
that?
I see a port for Switch, and
Oh yeah,
people have the fucking nerve to get excited for it. I know I sound like a fucking party pooper this podcast, but it annoys me. Like people were excited for Super Meat Boy on the Switch. Like, get the fuck out of my face with that shit. Like, are we serious now, man? Like, we need to hold Nintendo to the same standard of like quality as the rest of the other consoles. Like, and they get away with a lot of shit. Like exactly like you were saying, like the Mario Party. They're just ports, man.
yeah, because and you know I understand the frustration because I know we looked at the MPDs for the last couple of months, and it's like I see games on that list. That Mario Kart game was on there. I'm like, this is the same game that came out on Wii U years ago, and here it is on for the Switch again. I'm like, damn, people just they really love the Switch. So I mean, I guess Nintendo, all they could do is release them ports, and then that's it. That's it. Everyone will jump all over that, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I know that Persona 5 is coming to Switch as well, Gary. So that may be something that'll get you to get a Switch, perhaps.
No, I'm just waiting for the PC version.
Yeah, well, see, there you go. So, but yeah, it is what it is. I know people love the Switch, so because people love the Switch, I think they are willing to play whatever they can on there, even if it's an older game. But because of portability. But I do have to agree that when Mortal Kombat comes out in April, there's no way in hell I will be getting that on Nintendo Switch. I have to apologize to them for that. That's not happening. But for anyone that is getting it on the Switch, I ain't got. Hey, listen, I got love for you. I have no hate. It's all good.
It's all hate from me.
As for Microsoft, yeah, I agree. Microsoft, we already know some games that they have that are coming out this year. I think they should just focus on. Obviously, they are going to acquire more studios because I know that they have alluded to that and they have made it clear that they're going to continue to acquire stuff. So that's great. More news on that. Drop Crackdown, Gears 5, which I'm looking forward to. Actually, by the way, just continue to release games. And of course, the one main requirement that I have from them, which I'm pretty sure they will do, they had got to have a killer E3 presentation. They had an excellent presentation last year, by far the best Xbox presentation that I have seen recently. Although the previous years it wasn't bad either, but last year, man, there was just so much shit in there, and there was some surprises too. I was like, damn, yeah, I had to give it to them. So just have an excellent E3 and focus on releasing what you have. Continue to make Game Pass great. It's easy. Don't really try to, overthink this. Now, if they want to announce or reveal what the next Xbox is, but it doesn't come out until early 2020, I have no problem with that either. Because then you will be doing that news ahead of time before Sony has a chance to reveal the PS5. So if they do decide to do that, listen, that'll be an excellent bonus. But if not, just focus on doing what they're doing now because I think that they're doing pretty damn good with all the stuff that they're doing with Game Pass with all the studios that they have acquired. So we'll see what happens. And lastly, what Sony needs to do in 2019? Well, it's very simple. They need to reveal when are these other games coming out. Because the only game that I know is coming out in 2019 that has a release date right now is Days Gone. Where the hell is the release date for The Last of Us 2? Where's the release date for Ghost of Tsushima? Where is Death Stranding? Or should I just assume that that's a PS5 title? These are all the questions they need to answer this year. Because last year we went to that E3 conference. It was good to see Ghost of Tsushima. It was great to see how horrible Death Stranding looked. But I thought to myself, where the hell are the release dates? To me, it just didn't make any sense. You're having a conference, and these are the games that obviously everybody are waiting on now. So when you need to give us some more details as to when this stuff is coming out. At least that or a window. Say 2019, because I haven't even seen anything for Last of Us 2 that even remotely said it's coming out in 2019. I haven't even heard the devs say it's coming out in 2019. So yeah, we need to get some release dates. That's all I want from them. As for PS Now and what you said, Gary, I think Sony is probably going to say, you know what, we're just going to wait until next generation and we'll have backwards compatibility or something. That's what they're probably going to do. They may not even address PlayStation Now because they figure they don't really have a true answer to Game Pass. So if I had to make a guess, that's what will happen. But at the very least, they definitely need to let us know when these other games are coming. That's all I want from Sony in 2019. And I think that a lot of fans would agree that's it. So since they're not going to be at E3, since there may not be a PSX, although there may be a PSX later this year. I don't know. That's what they need to focus on, in my personal opinion.
Interesting.
All right. So if there's no other thoughts, we can go to the very final topic. And that is pretty much our predictions for 2019. Now, we already spoke about Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. I want this particular discussion to be about gaming in 2019, whether it's the gaming trends or if there is any particular game that you believe is going to come out and surprise everybody. I'm just curious if you guys had any wild, out of the ballpark thoughts about what you predict is going to happen in 2019. So I don't know if you want to go first, Ed. You may need some time to think some stuff over.
I think that I don't know, man.
Yeah, I say he needs time to think some stuff over. So yeah,
I'll tell you this: my game of the year for this year, I predict, will be The Outer Worlds.
Ah, that's a good one. That's a very good one.
I'm sold on that game. That's the game I'm probably most looking forward to this year.
That's a good one.
That's the Obsidian game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm also looking forward to The Last of Us 2.
Really?
Yeah, if it's coming out in 2019. If.
I think it will.
Okay. So how about you, Gary?
Here's a prediction.
Okay.
I predict that Ghost of Tsushima is going to be a letdown.
Uh-oh. Well, that I don't know, man. If anything, based on the games that we have seen so far, the trailers, to me, it looked like Death Stranding is going to be a letdown. If I had to pick any of those PlayStation exclusive, Death Stranding and Gary's favorite game, Dreams, both of those games look like they're going to be disappointing. If I had to make a guess right at this moment in time,
I believe all three of those. I believe all three of those because Ghost of Tsushima, let's look at that game. What are you guys in love with about that game? The art style. That's it. Because as far as gameplay, it looks like a hack and slash.
Yeah.
People are just in love with art style. Cool, we'll give it a pass. Death Stranding, we give it a pass because it's Kojima, and a lot of people can't admit that that shit looks like whack. Like it looks whack.
Oh yeah, it does look whack, and I
It
believe
looks
Gary
whack.
Gary said it looks whack too. Yeah.
Yeah, but Gary, like you know, I influenced him.
If you say so.
But when he's around Tony Polanco and them, he's a straight up fanboy.
Well, no. Well, actually, no, no. Well, actually, Tony Polanco also said, "Death Stranding, no, man, this doesn't look like anything right now." So, a lot of people, you'd be surprised, are not really impressed with Death Stranding at all, and a lot of people on Throwdown as well. A lot of them, because I've had conversations with them, they are not sold on Death Stranding at all. So, even though they are Kojima fans, they are not sold. So, I'm just telling you, there are no bias there with that game. I think people are going to judge it and say there's going to be some obviously that will love it and say whatever, but no, I think the people we know they're not going to be that because they have not impressed yet from what they've seen.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see about that. So how about you, Gary? You have any wild predictions for 2019
Yeah,
gaming?
yeah, I have a few. So if there is gonna be a Sony game that flops, now first of all, we don't know when those games you mentioned are even coming out because there's no release date for them.
Exactly.
But one game that does have a release date, I believe, is Days Gone, and I think that's gonna be a flop. So, um,
Yeah.
personally, like I don't see anything amazing about that game personally, besides the fact that they can fit like 100 zombies on screen. But that's nothing spectacular to me. Um, and one of the other predictions that I had that I really wanted to talk about, and Rich actually mentioned this game earlier. So Anthem, right? So
Uh-oh.
we've been talking about this game for a long time, and we've been pondering whether it's going to be good and whether it's going to be the downfall of BioWare. Now, I just want to say one thing, because I've been paying attention, like during the break and everything. I've been paying attention to what's going on. I've been seeing footages of the game, um and shouts to Gaming Ethos and the Black Okagi. I've been watching some of their content based on the game, because they actually got to go play it in Sweden and everything. um and I have to say, based on what I've seen, the game looks fire. Like
Oh, whoa,
it
uh-oh.
looks fire. Like it looks like it's gonna be dope, man. Like, so I think we were probably downplaying this game too much. I think it might actually be dope when it comes out. So I
Uh-oh.
I now have my eye on that game. Like I think I might even pre-order it because based on what I've seen, it looks like the type of game I want to play. And Richard was saying that it might become the new Destiny, or what Destiny was trying to be.
Yep.
I believe that could actually happen now, like based on what I've seen. Now, we haven't seen much of the story, but one of the driving force for these games isn't always story. So like the story doesn't have to be great. It's more about the gameplay, and I've watched the gameplay and I like what I've seen. So this has some great potential now based on what I've seen. Like, there's if you guys go and look online, all the people listening to this, there's a lot of new footage of the game. There's a lot of new previews and everything like that. So
Hmm.
go check it out, because is I've been surprised from what I've seen. Like, it actually looks really good. So
Let me ask you a question,
Uh-oh.
what's up?
and be honest. Don't like fuck up my point here.
Uh huh.
You said that this game looks good, right? Gameplay, like what you've seen on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
Mass Effect Andromeda looked pretty good too, didn't it?
I mean, so the thing is with Mass Effect Andromeda, right? We were being misled by our love for Mass Effect a little bit. Like, I mean, the footage, to be honest, they didn't even really show that much stuff like for that game ahead of time. I mean, they showed like generic action shots and set pieces and stuff like that. But really, what got a lot of people excited was what they loved about Mass Effect previously. But with Anthem, we know nothing about it, so all we can do is go off of the footages that are out there now. So, um, there's no prior Anthem to get excited for this one about. So, I think with Mass Effect Andromeda, it was more so the legacy of that IP overselling it.
Hmm.
But
I believe Anthem will be a decent game, but I think it'll be kind of
yeah, also I want to say with Anthem, what I've learned is that there's going to be no DLC, no loot boxes. There are just microtransactions, and it's all cosmetic. Now, I do want to say also that this is EA we're talking about, so they could switch that up 6 months down the line or something, and add a bunch of DLC content or whatever. Like, you're right, Rich.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right about that with EA.
Yeah, like like 3 months down the line or something, they could completely pull a 180 and add all the loot boxes to it. But from what I've heard so far, so good.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's another prediction. I think Anthem is actually going to be a smash hit when it comes out. And I think Battle Royale is going to die this year. Also, I think we're going to see the fall of Fortnite.
Really?
I don't know about that. Hey man, let me tell you, during the holidays, I was around kids, and they love Fortnite, and they do the little stupid Fortnite dance. Kids love Fortnite.
I know.
It's not going anywhere. But that was like the first time I've been around kids, and I've just seen them go ape shit for Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, I know, Fortnite is the thing right now for mostly the young audience, but everyone loves Fortnite right now. But I feel like it's gonna get stale eventually because it's like how much further can they go with it? And yeah, I feel like maybe like 6 to 8 months from now, I think we're gonna start to see the decline of that because PUBG's hype only lasted like a year, and then it fell off. So I think something else is gonna come out and knock Fortnite off of this.
I don't know what that. I don't know what I'm not sure what that is. What that's going to end up being.
It's gonna be Ghost of Tsushima.
It's gonna be Anthem, man.
Oh yeah, hey, it could be Anthem.
No, I'm joking. I don't think that's.
Hey, get Anthem on Xbox.
Oh, I'm definitely going to get it on Xbox.
But
actually,
yeah, I'll
it's
get
a
it on
VIP.
Xbox. I'll get it on Xbox.
Oh, he's not.
You're lying, ass.
He's not. He ain't going to do that. Interesting. Yeah. So those are very good predictions, Gary. Those are pretty strong ones right there.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Do we see Cyberpunk in 2019?
Oh,
that's a very good question.
That's another thing. Yes, I think that game is definitely coming out this year because I've been seeing the game is playable from start to finish. First of all, so I think it's ready to go. They're just CD Projekt are just adding, polish to the game and everything. So I think we're gonna see that, probably around fall 2019, and I think that game is gonna be fire too. That's actually one of that's my most anticipated game right now, to be honest. So.
Oh yeah, that I definitely would agree with you there because even when I went to E3 and they had that behind the closed doors session for Cyberpunk, from when we went to go see The Witcher, that was we saw that footage, but then they waited a whole year until after to actually release the footage. With this, they released it but within a couple of weeks after E3, the footage was out there. I think it was around Gamescom actually. Was it Gamescom? Yeah. So that tells me, oh yeah, this is definitely coming sooner rather than later because they're not holding back on showing everything else to the public. So yeah, I can see that coming this year for sure. Um, as for a few predictions that I have, um, and I know I predicted this was going to happen last year. It didn't happen last year, but I saw something a couple of days ago that sort of told me, okay, yeah, it has to happen this year because the people who are working on the game, the information is starting to get out there that they obviously are working on a game like this. So I'm going to say this: Splinter Cell is finally going to get announced this year, and it will come out this fall, later this fall, rather, holiday 2019, rather.
I, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Nah.
Well, I mean, the thing is that Ubisoft has Fallout dropping next month. They have The Division dropping in March. So after that, and we know another Assassin's Creed game is not coming out this year because they said they're going to take another break. So my thought is, what the hell are they going to release for the fall of, this holiday season later this year? They have to think about that. Say what?
Just Dance.
Oh yeah, Just Dance is going to be there, but they got to have more than that. They definitely got to have more than just that. They always try to have more than one major game coming out during the. Not to say that Just Dance is a major game. It is to some people. I don't care about that game personally, but yeah, they got to have something coming out for the holiday season.
Watch
so if I had to make
3.
that too, that they have been working on also. So I would not be surprised if that comes out. But we'll see. I think it's time for Splinter Cell because the people behind that game, the actor has been working on a Splinter Cell game. Ubisoft just has not revealed the information yet. So we'll see if that happens later this year. As for other expectations, there are obviously a lot of zombie games coming out this year, or zombie-esque games coming out later this year. One game that I think a lot of people slept on when it came out, and I really do think this sequel is going to be badass, is Dying Light. That because I did see Dying Light 2 at E3, and even though they didn't really go into detail with how the zombies are different in this game, in that particular demo, this is definitely a game that I think a lot of people they're going to gravitate towards, and it's going to probably be one of the better zombie games this year. I say that even though Resident Evil 2 is coming out in a couple of weeks, even though Days Gone is going to be out in a couple of months, and then The Last of Us, we're still waiting to get a release date for that. But if I had to make a guess, I think Dying Light 2, that's probably going to be one of the best survival horror zombie games this year of all the games that are coming out. But we'll see if I'm wrong. Because if The Last of Us 2 actually comes out this year, okay. Maybe you could say that that's can give it a run for its money, but we'll have to wait and see because we didn't see much from Last of Us 2 yet, so just have to wait and see. What other predictions do I have? I think
Here's another prediction I have. Because I'm looking at the list of stuff that's going to come out this year, so it makes it easier. I predict Shenmue 3 will be a big letdown. A massive, massive letdown.
I could see that. I would hope it doesn't get delayed again. I could see that though. I know Gary has been disappointed in that game ever since he heard the last time it got delayed. So yeah, that's a possibility. I see that happening. I can't really think of anything else because I think Gary had some really good ones. Yeah, it's hard to gauge what else to really think about with this particular thing here. I had some ideas earlier, but no, Gary said some stuff that I think really is going to legitimately, because I'm excited for Cyberpunk. I'm looking forward to that. So obviously, that is something I'm definitely looking forward to. The battle royale comment that Gary made, I don't think that Fortnite is going to die anytime soon, but I do think that PUBG, that game, yes, that game, because to me, it's like, I mean, I know it's on PS4 now. It's been on Xbox. I played it a couple times on Xbox when it was in the early stages before it got to 1.0. The game is not bad, but to me, there's not really a lot to it. Now I know they continue to update it and stuff like that, but when ever since they had that lawsuit with the Fortnite creators, it's like they were kind of salty because the Fortnite thing has the battle royale thing, but they themselves also stole that whole concept. So I thought that was funny more than anything else. But if there was one of those battle royale games that finally significantly drops off this year, I think it's going to end up being PUBG. Fortnite, I think, is going to continue to be a force until something happens. That unless something else comes out that takes over and is more popular than that. But I don't know what that is yet. But I do think PUBG definitely going to drop off, without a doubt. It already dropped off to some extent, but I think it's going to be an even more significant decline this year, if I had to make a guess.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but that's all I can think of right now. Yeah, I can't think of anything too off the wall for predictions because there's still so much that I don't really know about 2019 games that I thought would have a release date and they still don't have a release date. And then there's stuff that I'm pretty sure is going to also get revealed that hasn't been revealed yet. So just have to wait and see, I guess. But any other predictions that you guys have before we get ready to wrap up today's show?
Two quick ones. We're gonna see the Avengers game from Square Enix shortly after Endgame comes out, and
Oh yeah,
and I'm gonna make a very bold prediction. Cyberpunk is gonna be Game of the Year 2019.
I don't really think that's a bold prediction. Um, but yeah, I don't think that's a bold prediction. I don't remember if The Witcher 3 was Game of the Year when that came out, because I think that same year was the year that Metal Gear Solid also came out and some other stuff.
Overwatch, I think, won that year.
It did Overwatch.
I believe. I know it won Game of the Year at the VGA.
It deserved it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, Cyberpunk will probably be in that discussion, depending on what happens with Anthem. Hell, Anthem might be in that discussion also. And then depending on if Last of Us and all these other games are actually going to drop, then yeah, Last of Us will probably be in that discussion if it drops. If it drops, like I said, Naughty Dog hasn't said anything, so I'm going until they say 2019. I'm gonna say okay, all right. But yeah, that'll be in that discussion for sure, with no doubt about it. We'll see.
Gears will be in the discussion.
Listen, Gears. I'm looking forward to Gears. So, in the fact that they're trying other new things, I think that's really going to be a big payoff for them. So, we'll see what happens.
I also predict that Gary will buy Xbox One X this year.
That won't happen.
I think it's time.
Gary's going to say he has a PC already.
Yeah, if I'm lucky enough to have a nice lady like Ed, I'm gonna ask her for an Xbox instead of Yeezys. So.
Well, I hope you find her.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Yeah, but if I believe that wraps up our predictions, unless you guys have any more.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll think of some other things, and if I do, I'll address that. I'll bring those up for next week. But I think that pretty much concludes our first show back for the new year. Definitely thank you all for tuning in. If you were watching live or if you're watching later, we appreciate your continued support. I did want to make a few announcements real quick. Like I said, we do have a couple of things we're working on. So definitely stay tuned because there's a lot of content dropping next week. There's some stuff that is embargoed. So you're going to see a lot of stuff on the website. You'll probably even see some stuff on YouTube because a couple of videos that were taken from something that I can't talk about yet, but you'll see some of that next week for sure. So stay tuned for that. As for if you are a Patreon supporter, we do have some stuff coming next week on Patreon as well. So definitely stay tuned for that because we do have some plans to do a lot more content on there. So stay tuned. And lastly, in terms of the giveaway for this month, there's going to be another giveaway for another game. We'll be announcing that next week, so stay tuned for that. I'm not going to give any clues as to what it is because there are a couple of games coming out this month. Two very big major games coming out this month that are probably going to get a lot of attention. But stay tuned to find out how you can enter for a chance to win. All that information will be out there in the open starting next week. So make sure you visit the website and stay subscribed for updates. So for shout outs, I'm going to go to you first, Ed. Do you have any shout outs that you would like to give?
Shout outs to my girl for the Yeezys. Shout out to Tony Polanco. Get at me, bruh. And that's pretty much it. Shout out to Fergus Mills.
Sounds good. As for me, I want to give a shout out to everybody on the Koalition staff. Shout out to, of course, you guys here, Gary, Ed, Carl, Daniel, Ramis. Shout out to all those guys. I want to also give a shout out to Dana, JJ, Tony, and Tatiana as well. And yeah, Dana and I will be recording a new movie cast soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that because there's quite a bit that's going to be talked about on that episode. So yeah, look forward to that. But yes, thank you all for your continued support. And Gary, the floor is now yours for shout outs.
Yeah, so I want to shout out my Patreon people, my loyal supporters. So M. Collins and Edward, how do you pronounce this? Mauricio Aguilar.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Himdale, Fergus Mills, Miguel, Antonio Rogers, and Sean Gority. We thank you all for your continued support of the Koalition. And like Rich said, we are working on some extra Patreon content to bring to you guys in the near future. So be on the lookout for that. And
what is that guy's name? Himdale?
Himdale.
How do you spell his first name?
Well, I don't know.
It's all one word. Himdeel.
It's a nickname.
All right, cool.
Basically.
I thought it was a real name.
So yeah, shouts to all those people, and big shouts to the Koalition staff. You know, Rich, Tatiana, Tony, JJ, Dana. You know, all the active people, and even the inactive people who drop in from time to time, like Max, Ed, Kieran. You know, Carl, Ramiz. You know, shouts to you, to all you guys, because you know you bring a lot of inspiration and a lot of spirit to the team and everything like that. So, and I hope we have a great 2019. You know, all of us, the team and the supporters and everyone out there. So,
Absolutely.
Looking forward to the year.
And I just signed a 1-year contract with the co-op.
Yeah, Ed has that Brock Lesnar contract in place.
I get to show whatever I want.
It definitely is going to be a Brock Lesnar contract. So, you know, we'll see how consistent he is compared to Brock Lesnar.
Shit, I'll see y'all in 3 months.
Yeah.
I'll see y'all for the Anthem episode.
Oh yeah, we'll see. Hey, well, I will get it on Xbox, so I'm looking forward to that. We will definitely talk about that. And also, if you guys ever want to have your Red Dead Redemption podcast or discussion, then yeah, you should definitely do that also.
Oh yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, so that concludes our show for this week. Thank you all for your continued support. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you all next week.